Okay, good. Who's next?
All right, we've got one from AJ, and the caption with this one was bird watching.
You know what I found out today? I before this call, I had a before this. Uh, oh man, I'm all think
Broadcast.
I've got all these things going on in my head, Zoom meetings and phone calls. Before this broadcast, I had a really great call with my good friend Scott Kilby. What a wonderful guy he is. And he told me something I had no idea. Who do you think is the number one consumer of camera equipment? I never would have guessed this. Who do you think, this is according to B&H, who are the number one camera store in the world, who are the biggest consumers of camera gear? What do you think? Wedding photographers?
That probably would have been a guess of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, wedding photographers have usually two cameras and two lenses. The biggest consumer of camera gear are bird photographers. Isn't that amazing? Because they buy all sorts of long lenses, a lot of different gear. They are the biggest market. I completely had no idea. That just happened to be a little factoid that I got just before this. Anyway, here's a bird photographer. And who is this again?
This is AJ.
AJ. Okay, AJ. That is a beautiful bird. It looks like what we have right in our backyard here. A cow elk. Thank you. I like to get these stories going. Is that it's not a red tail. What is it? Tell us.
Somebody guessed a red tail.
I don't think it's a red tail.
They didn't specify, but somebody was thinking it might be.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but it may be. If it is, we have a red shoulder hawk that lives right on our property here. We have a lot of oak trees, and during one of these big storms last week, it was sheltered because it was just everything was going around and windy and rain. It was sheltering inside this tree. It was just beautiful. I had no time to go get a camera and shoot it, but it was pretty cool. It's an interesting photograph. You've got it framed between the branches there, which is good in terms of leading your eye. And you've got an interesting gesture where it's kind of like, it makes me think of yoga, where you have this humble warrior stance where your head is kind of, it looks like a Cooper's hawk. I think it might be. We have a lot of Cooper's hawks here, and they make a very distinctive cry. I really love these. I love hawks. I love birds of prey. I don't like vultures. They're gross. But anyway, it's a really nice portrait, very soft in the background, which is great. It's a nice portrait of this unknown, whether it's a red tail or a Cooper's hawk. If you're there, please let us know. Okay, thank you. Who's next?
All right, we've got one from our good friend Gier. And this one, of course, he's got the great, fantastic technical details for this one. So the Misty Force is the subject here. This picture was taken with a, I think that's number 1A Pocket Kodiak Junior, about 1926. That's from when it is about.
Interesting.
And Fomanap 400. The camera has a fixed focus. It makes a negative of 11 by 6 centimeters on 120 film.
Wow. Okay, almost 100 years ago. And you found this, I guess, and then you went ahead and made a print of it. Yeah, it's interesting.
He took it with a camera that is from, I think, 1926.
I thought the photograph was from.
Nope, he took it with a camera from 1926.
I see.
A nearly 100-year-old camera.
Okay. Cool. I mean, hey, I know you love to play around with these, and that's very interesting. It's, cameras are tools. You remember the 5 stages of photography. You visualize, which is the key to the whole thing. And then you got to know your tools. That's your camera. That's the second stage of photography. So, I like your experimentation. I'm, from a compositional standpoint, I'm looking for where's my center of attention. That's my main critique. Where does my attention go? It kind of goes all over the place. So you might want to think about, again, whatever tool you're using, you still want to think about putting your viewer's attention on some point, a focal point, whether it's an animal flying into the frame or you walking into the frame. That's a little difficult to organize with a 100-year-old camera. You don't have the ability to, do a remote shutter. Anyway, just think about that. You've got a beautifully set up scene. We need something to put our eyes on to make it pop by having a center of attention. It was taken less than a week ago. Well done on your use of vintage equipment. I praise you for that, because I should be doing that and I'm not. And I'm something I need to get to. That's a goal that I've got, is get back in the darkroom. Okay, we've got time for a couple of more, and let's see who we've got.
We've got this one from Oliver. This is a mountain view from a city in Iceland.
Wow, those are some interesting colors. Yeah. Okay. So you've got a lot of interesting color with that sky. I am just amazed. I guess we're just looking at the setting sun that's causing that variation in colors there. This is going to be very similar to what I just said. My eye does not have a place to go to. It's like I look around the whole thing. That's fine. You're setting the scene, but I need a focal point. Perhaps a bird flying into the frame. I love birds because they give you a punctuation point. So I kind of look for birds and I track them until I get them to do what I want in the frame. That's a little tip. If that isn't available, if there's no bird available, what else could you do? I mean, that's just something to think about. Like, what else could you do to put a point of interest or a center point or focal point into your photograph? Because a lot of times you set it up, it's beautifully set up, but we're just waiting for that element to come into the frame that will somehow pull it all together. Okay, Jared, a couple of more.
All right. This is from a new user who just joined.
Oh yeah, I'd like to welcome. Do we have any new AYP Club members here? If you guys would just say so in the chat, I'd love to welcome you.
Yeah, I'm guessing Valentin, because they just joined and they did their post, and so they put #critique. They
Cool.
wanted you to take a look at this one. So.
Okay. Well, it's going to be what I just said. You've got an interesting background. You've got basically it's about this middle ground is really what's going on. There's that would be that one. Go back to that one. There we consider that the foreground, but most of it's in the middle there, and there is some background. But now you've got your stage set. Your table is set, but we need to put something on the table. What is that going to be? An animal walking into the frame, or you. If you haven't been to my critiques, you know that I recommend you set up if you don't have anybody else that can walk into the frame, maybe you're with somebody. Ask them to walk into the frame. And you can have them walk towards you or walk away from you or walk to the side, whatever you're the director. You've got a scene. Now put something in it that will absolutely pull the viewer's eyes to that person or thing. Generally, it's either going to be a person, and again, that can be you. Put it on a tripod. walk into the frame. Mads Rivers Iverson does that all the time. Great landscape photographer, and he is generally the subject of his own photographs. It's a cool thing that you have available to you, which is you. So if there's no animal that's going to walk in there, or a deer or a bird or a horse or something, nobody's with you, carry a tripod, set it up, and walk into the frame. And that's going to take your eye and put it where there's a center of attention. Okay, let's do a couple more.
All right. I think we've got one more, and this one is from Patrick. And I'm going to read the caption with it first, then show it. No words can convey the feeling I felt when I captured this image.
Wow. Okay, good example of what I've been talking about. There is your center of attention, the bird. And you waited for, otherwise, take the bird out. It's a sunset, which, it's a colorful sunset. That's fine. But with the bird there, all of a sudden my eye goes boing right there. And it makes it into a really interesting photograph with a story behind it. So that is a good example. Now, is that a bird over to the...
Yep.
Okay.
There's a bird right here, too.
Is there more than one? I mean, more than two?
I believe it's this one and this one.
Okay.
And then there's just some people on the pier.
You can take or leave this advice. I would edit out that one on the left. Just get rid of it. Because your main... Look, there's your main actor right there. We don't need this side actor. It actually doesn't... It doesn't help because it kind of just pulls my eye a little bit over there and I go, what is that? Is that a boat with oars, or, oh, it's a bird? So, that's just that point. If you don't agree with that, that's fine. You don't have to do that, but I would just edit that right out. It'll take you 1 second in Lightroom or Photoshop. Boom, it's gone. And my eye goes right to the subject. So that's a really good example of using the environment and waiting for what you're looking for. Let's be more patient with our photographs. We don't have to snap them. And that's, again, a great use of birds. I love using birds in my photographs because they're really great subjects. They fly into the frame, they fly out of the frame. If you don't see them right then, there's probably going to be another one coming along pretty soon. So well done on that. Good example of putting a center of attention, which could also be called a punctuation point. So I guess that's it for today, right?
Yep, that's what we've got for today. And keep submitting your photos, and we'll be doing more of these shows.
And I noticed a comment from Jack Sony. You don't like to stage photographs? Okay, you don't have to. You don't have to do any of these things. I'm just giving you a point that you could do if you want. I didn't like to stage photographs for a long time either until I realized it's totally under my control. Why not? And what really, it's art. What difference does it make if it happened organically or you directed somebody? It's still your art. Every artist has that prerogative. I mean, how many painters, you could call it staging, you have a model, right? So it's just something to think about. Try it out. And, loosen up your mind a little bit to checking it out and see if it does help your photography. Please subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our new shows. Like the video and please share it and leave your comments. I love hearing from you. And remember to get out and capture your own images of life.